Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.
Hey guys, Amber here from a Meeple family, and today I am very excited to show you how to play Disney The Haunted Mansion. If you love the Disney theme parks like we do, I think you'll really enjoy the gameplay and the theme of this one. This plays 2 to 6 players, and the recommended age is 8 and up. So let's dive right in and see how to set up and play The Haunted Mansion. Welcome, foolish mortals. To get started, let's go ahead and open up the game board. I really love when publishing companies put a little bit more effort into the backside of the game board, and I definitely wanted to show you that before we flip it over. This is actually the side we will be playing on. We're also going to need the endless hallway centerpiece, and that is going to go in the center of the room, the dead center of the room, to be precise. Each player will then choose a color and take the corresponding mover and reference card. Go ahead and place your mover in the seance room. Now it's time to place the hitchhiking ghost mover in the crypt. There's 3 different decks of cards we're going to be utilizing in the game. The ghost cards, the haunt cards, and the event deck. Now, the ghost cards and the haunt cards can go ahead and be shuffled and just place face down near the game board. The event deck, we need to do a little setup to. First, you're going to need to find and remove the final round card. Next, you're going to randomly remove a number of cards equal to the number of players and place them back in the box. For example, in our 3-player game, we'll go ahead and remove 3 event cards. Once you've removed the appropriate amount of event cards, go ahead and shuffle the remaining deck. Then go ahead and take the bottom 3 cards from the event deck and shuffle in the final round card we removed in the first step. Once shuffled, place them back on the bottom of the deck. Set the event deck next to the game board. You're also going to want to place the 2 bidding dials near the game board. Decide who's going first and ensure they get the first player marker. At this point, the game is all set up and we're ready to get started. During gameplay, we're going to be collecting ghost cards from around the Haunted Mansion. Collecting certain sets of ghost cards throughout the game will guarantee us some wonderful victory points. But we're going to want to make sure we avoid haunt cards, as the most haunted player will actually lose points. And of course, the player with the most points at the end of the game wins. The game Haunted Mansion is played in rounds, and each round consists of 2 phases: the event phase and the action phase. So let's take a look at what happens in the event phase. To start each round, we're first going to draw an event card and place it face up next to the event deck. The event cards are going to dictate how many rooms our hitchhiking ghosts need to move, and in what direction they need to move. Now, for the start of the game, since all players are inside the seance room, they won't be affected by the hitchhiking ghost movements. But in subsequent turns, if players are in rooms that the hitchhiking ghost moves through or stops in, they are going to acquire haunt cards. If a hitchhiking ghost ends their movement in a room where your player is, you're going to need to draw 2 haunt cards. On the other hand, if the hitchhiking ghost simply passed through a room where your pawn is located, you'll only have to get 1 haunt card. So for our example here, the hitchhiking ghosts are going to move clockwise 2 spaces. And since all players are safely within the seance room, no players need to worry about haunt cards. The next step of the event phase, after moving our hitchhiking ghost, is to place ghost cards within the mansion. In order to know how many ghost cards to put out into our haunted mansion, you're going to want to draw ghost cards equal to the number of players plus 3. So for our example here, in a 3-player game, we'll go ahead and draw a total of 6 ghost cards. You're going to place the first 2 cards face up in the same room as the hitchhiking ghost. Then move clockwise, placing 1 card face up in each room until all cards have been placed. Depending on the number of players, it is possible that some rooms will not receive a card, just like our example here. Try to be careful that when placing cards, all previous cards can be seen as well. Once our ghosts have joined us in the Haunted Mansion, let's go ahead and read the round condition. This can be found on the bottom portion of the event card. For example, our round condition reads, after putting ghost in the mansion, move all ghost cards in rooms adjacent to the hitchhiking ghost into their room. So to implement this condition, we would simply look at the rooms adjacent to our hitchhiking ghost and make sure that we move all of those ghost cards into the room with the hitchhiking ghost. Now, round conditions are going to remain in effect until a new event card and new round begins. Now, we briefly discussed one of the ways that players are going to accrue haunt cards. Each haunt card features a haunt value of 1, 2, or 3. When you draw a haunt card, you may look at the haunt value, then place the card face down in front of you. All players should be able to see how many haunt cards you have, but only you will know their true haunt value. Throughout the game, when asked to discard a haunt card, you may want to discard the highest value haunt card in your possession. Whenever you see a symbol representing an eye, like you see in the description of this card, it will either be referring to drawing or discarding a haunt card. Now, these haunt cards do come into play at the end of the game because the player with the highest total, not necessarily the most haunt cards, but again, the highest total, will be forced to discard all of the ghost cards they've collected, of whichever type they have the most of. And we haven't got into these ghost cards just yet, but you will be able to identify a ghost type by the icon on the left side of the ghost card. So we've covered the event phase, which, as a reminder, is where we draw an event card, move our hitchhiking ghost, hand out any haunt cards if the ghost passed through players' rooms or ended in the same room as a player. We then bring in our ghost to our haunted mansion, and lastly, make sure we have fulfilled this round's condition. So now let's talk about the second part of a round, which is the action phase. Starting with the player who has the first player marker, each player will take one turn, and then the round ends. On your turn, you will be able to choose 3 actions to do, and there are 5 different actions to choose from, so let's briefly talk about those now. One of the options you can take is to move. If you are in the seance room, you may move to any of the endless hallway rooms by placing your mover into that specific section. And if you are in the endless hallway, like our green mover is here, you may move across one line to an adjacent room, or you may move back into the seance room. Players actually never move off of this endless hallway. You're considered to be in the room that is aligned with your section of the endless hallway. The next option you have on your turn, in addition to moving, is to rotate the endless hallway. No matter how far you rotate your hallway, it only actually counts as one action. Next up, you can collect a ghost card. Now, when collecting ghost cards, you simply need to be in the room. You may collect more than one ghost card, but each ghost card you collect is an action. Now, if by chance you collect a ghost card like this that has an effect, you must perform the effect immediately upon collecting the card. Also, if you choose to collect a ghost card from the same room as the hitchhiking ghost, you must collect a haunt card. Now, though you can move, rotate, or collect cards multiple times on your turn up until you've used all 3 of your actions, the next 2 items we're going to go over can only be done once per turn. And the first thing is called a duel. If you are in the same room as another player, you may request a duel. To do so, you'll need to not only announce the player you are trying to steal a card from, but also the card you want to steal. Each player will take a bidding dial and secretly choose a number from 0 to 3 by rotating the dial. The number will correspond to the number of haunt cards they are willing to draw in order to steal or keep the ghost card in question. When both players are ready, they reveal their bids, and whoever bid the higher number gets the ghost card. If by chance there's a tie, the player who started with the ghost card gets to keep it. But regardless of the outcome, both players must now draw the number of haunt cards they bid. Lastly, as an optional action, you can also discard a haunt card, but only once per turn. And in order to take this action, you need to be in the seance room. You may use one action to discard one of your haunt cards to the bottom of the haunt deck. And of course, you can choose which haunt card you discard. After each player in the game has taken their one turn, consisting of 3 separate actions, we can then pass the first player marker to the left and begin the next round by drawing an event card. During the event phase, If the event card revealed is the final round card, this will be the final round of the game. In addition to our normal round setup, we will also draw 3 additional ghost cards to add to our Haunted Mansion. After all players have taken their final turn, the game ends immediately and scoring begins. So let's take a look at scoring. The first thing all players will do is to add up their haunt totals. The player with the highest haunt value needs to check which ghost card type they have the most of, and they must discard all ghost cards of that type. So if this player had the highest haunt value, they would be forced to discard all of their axe icons here, because that is the ghost type they have the most of. So these would be removed from the game, losing them a lot of points. After the haunt cards have been evaluated and any ghost cards removed from the highest haunt value player, we then can look at our different scoring conditions on the ghost cards we've collected and tally up our score. Now, for the most part, the cards are very easy to understand, and you can see, for example, for this particular ghost icon, if we have 1, we get 3 points. If we have 2, we get 0. But if we've collected 3, we're able to get 12 points. In a similar manner, we can collect these harp icon ghost cards, and if we're able to collect up to 5, we could get 25 points. There are also ghost cards that allow you to take special actions throughout gameplay, and they just give you victory points at the end of the game. There are also some special ghosts you may come across in the game, and these ghost cards do not have an icon or card type, but they do allow you to get additional bonus points for certain ghost icons you have collected. For instance, this one here gives us 1 point plus 2 for each of these boot ghost cards we've collected, while this one next to it is 1 plus 2 for each of the picture frames we've collected. And that's a quick look at how to play Disney the Haunted Mansion. In addition to absolutely loving the theme park ride, we have really enjoyed this gameplay as well, and we love seeing all of the artwork and variety that the designers put into this gameplay. I hope this video helps you decide if Disney's The Haunted Mansion is a good fit for your family gaming table. Happy gaming! I'll see you later.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.